episode of the interview series. I am Jaysin Static. You, sir, are...
I'm the Switchblade, Garrett Shanks.
Garrett Shanks, how long have you been in the wrestling business?
10 years.
10 years. We have a little bit of history together, don't we? We sat down a couple years ago on a podcast that I used to have called Breaking the Culture, which you can still find on, most social medias, on YouTube, on Spotify and stuff like that. Go check them out, people. Help me out. But now we're sitting here on the Pro Wrestling Shoot series, and I've got 2 questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. How do you balance your in-ring persona with your real-life personality and values?
This is a good one. So, a lot of people say that the best wrestling characters are just an amplified version of themselves. The Switchblade is a guy who likes to fight.
Right.
Likes to get out there, call it like it is.
Right.
That's what I do in real life. So, that's how I balance them. I just,
So you actually do the fight thing? Do you do like legit fighting? I'm not going to say legitimate fighting, but like mixed martial arts or anything, boxing or anything like that?
I'm just saying if someone gets out of line, I'll put them back in line real quick.
Okay. Now, is the Switchblade persona the same? Is it the same? Do you have the same personality?
A little bit. Real life Garrett's a little more calm, cool, collected.
A little bit more calm?
Switchblade's a little more hot-headed.
How so?
So, real life Garrett Shanks can take a lot before he hits his breaking point.
Right.
Switchblade can't take as much before that fuse goes off.
Now, have you found it easier to stay within that realm of, I guess you could say, personality, instead of trying to be something that you're not?
Absolutely. Yeah, because when I'm out there as the Switchblade, I talk a lot of smack, but I also back it up.
Right.
So, real life Garrett doesn't like to brag a whole lot.
Right.
I know I can back it up.
Right. And that's what goes back to what you're saying about, the old saying in pro wrestling is just your, good personality is just turned up to 11.
Exactly.
Me, like back in the day, like I was a kind of a hothead back in the day, and I was kind of aggressive with people sometimes. Now, if you talk to me nowadays, I'm more calm, I'm more reserved, I'm more respectful of people. Back then, I wasn't very respectful at times.
Right.
Do you, as a heel, like you're majority heel, from what I understand, you mainly work heel. How do you take the personality of the heel compared to what you are in real life? How's that dynamic?
I'd say that's kind of opposite ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
In real life, I don't know many enemies I do have.
Right.
But here in the wrestling world, I have more than I'd like to name.
All right, man. Appreciate that first question. Thank you. Switchblade, Garrett Shanks. Question number 2. Are you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
How do you grapple with the idea that your body is both your instrument and your enemy? And how do you prioritize long-term health in such a grueling sport like pro wrestling?
Like you said, it's my instrument.
Right.
You got to make it last as long as you can.
Yep.
So I definitely try to take as much care of myself as I possibly can.
Right.
I make sure I work out. I make sure I do yoga. I make sure I do cardio. I try to eat right as best as I can, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, eating is easier said than done. Exactly. Everybody feels that at some point in time.
Yeah. So, yes, that's just kind of the main thing, because you only have one body.
Right.
When it's shot and it's done, and you can't do this anymore, then you're done. So you gotta do what you can to make it last as long as it can.
And you've been around for about 10 years now, you said. Mm-hmm. Over the last 10 years, have you noticed the difference in, maybe you don't do something like you did when you started? Like for me, whenever I started, I was one of those dudes that would take risky bumps, bumping high on my shoulders, to get those crazy looking head bumps of the early 2000s that people were doing, or taking gorilla press slams onto the concrete, from the inside of the ring, or flat back bumping when somebody would throw me out over the top rope and stuff like that. have you seen yourself over the last 10 years change the way that you work, or do you still work the same way?
I've always been a big guy,
Right.
so I've never had to take the risky bumps.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, I've kind of noticed as of late, I've been taking the bigger bumps. I've been taking bumps off the top rope. I've been doing stuff like that, which is, I didn't really even realize it until you asked that question. Um, there's not a whole lot of stuff I do different because in wrestling, you don't know what's going to, hit you wrong and give you that injury or give you that stinger.
Right.
It doesn't, it just, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it can happen off a bump. Sometimes it can happen off just waking up in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
I woke up after a show, a month ago, and the night of the show, after the show, I felt fine. And then that night, I slept on my neck wrong. My neck was screwed up the next day.
Right.
So you just never know what's going to do it.
Have you noticed? Is there any kind of like pain level or anything like that over the years? Compared to now, from back then.
There's certain things that feel different.
Like what?
The day after a show. My hip sometimes, which is odd because it's just some days you wake up and usually after a show and it's a little sore, it's a little, you gotta be gentle with it the next day. You gotta walk around a little bit different.
I'm like that too. Like, oddly enough, like I haven't worked in a long ass time. I've worked out with guys, I help train guys and everything like that. Everybody knows that. But like, I haven't done an actual in-ring show in front of people in like 10 years. But like my hip still fucks me up. Like when I come to these shows and I help set up, and hell, even running cameras and sitting behind my merch table, oddly enough, is, like I still have that fucked up hip. Mm-hmm. I think hips and knees and your neck are like some of the most big impact points that I think we have as wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that your knees and shoulders and hips will be the things that break down first. Mm-hmm. That's why I do a strength building yoga that helps keep them strong and also rebuild them after being broke down.
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of goes back to what you're saying. We just got to make it last as long as we can.
Yeah. And do you still feel good nowadays?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm 29, I'll be 30 here in a few months, but I don't feel that way. I still feel like, I'm a 23-year-old.
Okay.
So but obviously I'm not. I look in the mirror and I can tell, I've aged a little bit. I've got some gray hairs coming in, but
there ain't nothing wrong with grays, man. I got a whole bunch of them, man.
Right.
A whole bunch of them. You're gonna get those sooner. You're just lucky that you didn't have them in your. You said you're 29, bro. I started gray hair at like 29, like a lot. Like this streak that I have right here, that's been around since 29, bro. So you're still a good looking guy. You're still tall, young, jacked. As long as you remain healthy, stay active. That's my big thing. Is like a good question to have. Is a good thing to tell people, especially the young guys in the game. Since you're a guy that's been around 10 years, is like I don't think we could express how important it is to keep your body healthy. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, you only have one body.
Exactly.
And trust me, as a 42-year-old guy. And like I tell people, like I had a cup of coffee, in-ring active, and then the last 10 years it's been like all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. But even at those cup of coffee that I had, it doesn't matter how much you do matters. Protect yourself. Maybe don't take as many crazy bumps as you think you can take, because guess what, bro? At some point in time, those shoulders are going to give out. Those knees are going to give out. That back is going to give out. I'm saying that as a guy that's got 2 bad knees, a bad back, and bad shoulders. It's one of those things, man. But as long as you work out, take care of your body, and if you're hurt, anything like that, that's the best advice I can leave. And I'm sure you'll agree with me. If you're hurt, take care of it. Right. Don't let it go.
Fairly recently, I hurt myself in a match, and then the next day I tried to work through it, and it just made it worse.
Yeah.
So it's just you kind of want to be the tough guy and fight through the pain. No pain, no gain. But you got to take care of yourself. And if it's that bad, it ain't worth it.
And that's the way I see it. Like we're in a different age of pro wrestling. It's not the 1980s. It's not the 1990s. Most guys ain't on the road 200 and 365 days a year and shit like that. you know, and most guys, especially in the indie level, aren't vying for, you know, big game, I guess you could say. You know, so if you want to have a long career as an indie wrestler, I think your best thing that you can do is to take care of yourself. And if you're hurt, take a week off. You know, even if you get a stinger, if you hurt your hip, you know, bust your lip, take a week off, man. It's not going to hurt you, you know, because like you said, if you want to get to a bigger show, you know, you got to, you know, when you get to those big shows, you're going to be working a lot more, you know, so like save your bump card as much as you can. Don't kill yourself, protect yourself and protect the person that you're working.
Precisely.
But we're going to wrap this up. You got anything to promote, man?
Check me out. I wrestle Dynamo Pro Wrestling. We'll be in Farmington December 14th. Check me out at CHWA. I'm up there. We do show once a month up there in Edwardsville.
Okay.
On social media.
I've been to all those places. Yeah.
Yeah. Social media. It's Garrett_Shanks on X, Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Not a hard guy to find.
And we'll be sure to make sure we put all that stuff in the comment section below. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, tell me how much you like Garrett Shanks. Tell me if you don't like Garrett Shanks. If you think Garrett Shanks is a dweeb, let him know in the comment section below. Because guess what? That helps the algorithm, and that's what I need. I need that algorithm boost. But we're going to run this out just like we always do. Jaysin Static across all social media. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check me out. Fight Club Wrestling Academy on Facebook, YouTube. Check me out, bros. That's what we need. Help me out there, too. Last but not least, I don't have the website anymore, but I'm working on something that's bigger, better, badder. So if you want anything from me, Jaysin Static merch, Fight Club Wrestling merch, or the 138 Streetwear, Garrett Shanks, you don't know this. 138 Streetwear for the pro wrestler.
Hey, I'll be sure to check that out.
So if you guys want something like that, that stuff's going to be in the works in the future. I don't know exactly when, but it's coming. Garrett, brother, thank you.
Pleasure as always.